Okay, so as I was saying, yesterday we had a long session. It was like full day playing D&D. It was the third part of this kind of mini campaign that we started on June, around that. So let me recap going through this document, because I want one thing that I usually like to do after a session, like usually the next day, because after a session I'm brain dead, literally. So on the next day, usually what I like to do is like remember what I'm doing, go through my notes that I was taking, like the combats and everything that was happening, and then update the document with the session prep, basically. It's basically so I don't forget what happened, and also because I want to keep track of the events that are happening on my world, and that informs what the new sessions or new plays that we do are gonna be based on. So if they actually help somebody, well, that's gonna help them in the future, like. And I want to remember these things, basically, to try at least to make a cohesive world. So this is the information of the area. So this happened, yeah, that's fine. I will just go through this. The warlock they fight, I think I had the documents somewhere. Somewhere. I basically took a look at two and like basically monster stats that I wanted to use, and at the end I picked this one. So let me put this here and actually make a note on the description of the warlock, which is this. Okay. So this was already from. So this, like basically the Wizards Arena was the free session we had. It was basically a 2-player session, which it was super fun. I think like with 2 players is like a different type of game, but still it's interesting, the dynamics that it creates and like the fast pace that the game it is. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. So they were basically woke up on some cells, and the arena had like basically 3 different orc factions. There was an NPC that it's actually one of my characters that I played in another campaign. So that NPC was there to help them, which it was super cool, because on yesterday's session they actually met some friends of this guy. So like that's something I want to keep writing down, because the story is evolving around that. So they fought some of these Ara Kokras, I still don't know how to pronounce that, and some gnolls, and then there was an orc that kind of helped them because the guy wanted more power, so you know how that goes. So this is the fight. Okay, so that was basically session 1. It was just fight after fight after fight. There is like some documents that I had here, yeah, basically what it was happening. And the second part was the Galfail mountain, so let me write here session 1, and let's do the Galfail mountain as session 2 and basically 3. So there is some notes here that I hope my players don't watch this. So yeah, here's the goal of the facilities to gather the flow of magic concentrated in the Nexus to power the required for the Grand Calamity, which is something that it's happening on my world. It's gonna happen, kind of no matter what. The difference is what's exactly gonna be the impact, and that's because in another short campaign that we did, the end of that session was that the heroes got teleported into this world, and basically when they got teleported, the reason was because of the events that are happening now. So it's like we're basically in a prequel. We're gonna be playing a flashback of what happened. So that's fine. I still don't know how to write some words, but that's fine. Man, the thing is that I write this so quickly because I don't have much time. Yes, okay, that's fine. So this was session 2. Okay, so yeah, so then I have a third level, which is the forest escape. Basically, when they escape their arena, this was already on the second session. After they escaped the arena, they escaped through the forest, and they basically fought a couple of monsters that they were like quite big, which is something I kind of always do. Like, I always get a monster, but I kind of tweak it before playing, because I never kind of like what the monster's stats give me. So I basically just use them for the CR to know the difficulty, especially when I'm playing with a low number of players, which I don't want to kill, you know, because I don't know what I'm doing. So that's basically, I take inspiration from that, but after that I just modify them to do basically what I want them to do. So there was the mountain entrance, there was the main rooms, all that happened the other day, and then the jails with some humans in there that they basically kind of ignore. And then I start what I want to start modifying here, because the dwarf ruins, it got bigger than I expected. And let me get my map here. So actually I should take a picture of this and put it on the document, so I don't basically ever lost this. Let me take a picture first quickly. And I'm using this scannable application, which is what I always do. Thing is that I don't have much space. So let's see if, yes, perfect. Cool. That's the quickest way of grabbing a screenshot, a picture of a document that I know of. Now I just need to basically cut this. I know that you're not seeing this, but you're gonna be seeing it quite in a second here. And now let me send. Come on, MacBook, wake up. Airdrop. Every time you want to work, it doesn't. Okay, let me see if I need to open Finder to make airdrop wake up. There you go. There you go. Perfect. So I have the map. So what I'm gonna do is actually go here to where? Here, to the Galfail Mountains, and actually update this document here. Okay. And what I can do, if you want, is, let me see, I can add the image here so you know what I'm talking about. Let's see if I can find the image. Come on, downloads. There you go. Scan all document. Oof, that's too big. Give me a second. Nope, I'm touching. Ah, damn. Really? So you're not seeing this, but my streaming window has become a full mess. Oh, this was supposed to be easy. Well, let me block this, 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 and now I can just move them up. Perfect. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Now this huge the screenshot. So I don't know how much you're actually gonna see. Okay. So that's basically the map. The map that I drew in a couple of iterations, because I had an initial idea, and after that things were kind of being modified as we went. So what we're gonna be looking at now is, so the forest escape is the bottom part. And then the mountain entrance, that already happened. Then they went through the main rooms, some jails that they ignored, and then the dwarf ruins. So the dwarf ruins, it's basically the whole part at the top of the map, which is what I need to tweak a little bit. So the destroyed pit was just like a quick kind of skill checks that they had to do. And then on the tunnels, which is this part here, yeah, I'm checking my notes. Let me check. Let me remove this. Yes. Yeah, no, I'm just checking because I don't remember now exactly which day they did things. So tío, claro, como eso. Meat. Yeah, so this was still on the freeze part of the mountains. Then the furnace room, that was this part here, that was the same. Yeah, and then we ended on the sewer room, that was basically this part here, and then we ended there. Okay, treasure. Oh shit, I should remember which treasure I gave them. Okay. Which treasure I gave them, if I don't remember. And that's the other thing, that I should move up to remember basically the experience I gave them. XP. Actually, let me do this. Let me do this. I'm gonna keep this here, because this is the XP that they got, but the treasure I want to keep it on this because it's part of the room, so I want to keep it as part of the room. Now, what treasure did I give them? Yes, I give them this thing. Yes. So I gave them, pretty sure this would be much easier if I didn't have everything in one. So I gave them this, which is basically it's basically I took from some bonus underscore action account on Instagram. It's a chromatic color, although I said that it was like a bracelet, and it basically you just roll a d6 once for each. It's a long rest, yeah, once for each long rest, and it basically gives you one resistance. It gives you resistance, basically. That's what it does. That's what it does. So that was one part of the treasure. The other part of the treasure, it was yeah, it was this. I remember giving them this. So I give them some gold. Well, I didn't give them anything. I mean, honestly, it was what they found after killing the basilisk. So that's what they got here. Okay. 50 GP, some quartem, couple of poison flasks. No, I can confirm this. Although I still don't know exactly the mechanics of this, but whatever. And I gave leather armor for grit. Is it grit? I never remember the name of the character. And then I gave this to one, which is basically, I just made it up. I don't know if it's kind of balanced legal or whatever, but I like the idea of having just a longsword, but it does an extra poison damage. It's not, I don't think it's too much powerful. I don't think it's like a plus. Thing is, a +2/1 sword, like, thing it was too early on the game to do it, because it would have meant that the barbarian that already did a +7 or something like that, it was doing a +8. So I think it was too much. But instead the poison damage, I think it was interesting, although a lot of the enemies later had immunities, but it's still, when it didn't have it, like the damage, it was pretty cool. So I think this was 400. So this is the treasure they found. Again, I'm a noob DM, so I don't even know if this is like a normal kind of treasure you give, or it's too much or it's too little. But basically, for a couple of characters that, I mean, they did a lot of fights on the first session, don't get me wrong, apart from all the arena that I didn't count here. XP from session 2, which I already gave. It's like, this is everything they fought and things I give them experience for. Like, they didn't have the prisoners and stuff like that, so they didn't get much. And that's just some notes I keep here, so I remember what, basically, how much experience they will need to get to season 6, because that's something we didn't know at all. Like, I told you, like, we are, like, all of us, like, we're new players and noob DMs, so we don't really know, like, the experience curve on D&D, how it goes, which meant that when I was giving the experience, like, and I was telling my friends, like, like, one of them was expecting already to be at the next level, and I'm like, I don't think D&D it goes that way. And then when we did the math, it's like, yes, no way, man, like, we're gonna have to do like at least 6 sessions for you to get to level 6, or throw at you bigger monsters and higher level monsters, you know. But it's important to consider that I don't really care about the experience that much. For example, they went from level 4 to 5, like, after the arena. So from session 1 to 2, they started session 1 at level 4, and session 2 they were already at level 5, because basically I wanted them to feel a little more powerful and have, like, some of the specific abilities they needed were at level 5. So I thought, like, this is just for fun at the end of the day, so let's have fun. But now that we are trying, at least I'm trying to think about this, about, like, what's coming next after this, and I hope they want to keep the same characters. So I'm trying, like, to shape them a little bit and say, okay, like, we are gonna play with this character for a little bit at least. So let's see what level you are, let's see which experience you have. And I took this experience to say, basically, to know when they had to level up, because this was like, this is an end of a part. We ended this, like, the mountain ended here, so they can keep going, but the mountain part ended here, and I wanted to know, do they have to level up again? No, right? So, like, these numbers were basically to know exactly at which rhythm D&D levels up. So that was the experience they give, and that's the treasure. Cool. So then the next room was, after going underwater, exit is underwater, and let me copy. remember. Yeah. Cool. So then the next room was a room with disturbed Dwargar. Like, Dwargar are this character. So they are these guys. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, so you can see them here. Basically, these are the Dwargar, but I'm not using it as a, how to call it, as a race, as a race that is alive in the world. They are basically kind of spectral, undead kind of dwarfs, but they are not they are considered like, if a paladin tries to sense them, they will, but they are like physical and like they are not really. It's like a weird mix of stuff. Okay, but I like the vision of these dwarfs that are like super pallid and bluish. They don't look alive to me at all. So that's why I use them, and basically because the stats match what I needed here. So now, yes. So here, the new characters are being attacked by ancient dwarven spirits. And if I was not dumb, I should have I can't remember how many I threw at them. No, this was the skeletons and this was the final fight, so it has to be one of these ones. Okay, note to myself, next time write which fight is. Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, I think it was 3. I think I did 3. I did 3 because I was counting 2, basically 1 and 2 for the 3 party, and then we ended up being 4. So it was 3 Dwargar Hammer, and then I threw them to Dwargar. Okay. And then after the battle, they basically with some character introductions, and then mission of the new characters. And I have the mission of the new characters here, which is basically the message I gave the new players. So this is basically the mission of the new characters. Let me put it that way. Okay, and I wanted to give a specific mission to my character, to the new characters. Why? Because the first 2, they didn't have any mission at all. Like, this started usually like, let's have fun fighting in an arena, and that's it. And then from that you evolve to what you're seeing now, which meant that they were just going around, but they didn't actually have any mission. They were trying to escape, and it was kind of sometimes weird, the situation, because it meant that they didn't have any reason to take like normal hero things, you know. They didn't have to save the prisoners. They wanted to save the prisoners to use them to make it an easier escape, you know. But like this constant like friction, actually it was something I tried to solve. by the introduction of these new players. So the players had like a clear mission, like they are part of an organization managed by the Queen in Capital, and because these dark forces that have been happening on the region of Galfail, they were sent here, and this is where I linked it to the previous NPC that was helping them on the arena, Sir Leonard Hallowell, and it basically like Leo was captured by the orcs and put on the arena with the other two characters, while these two new characters they like escape basically, and now they have basically two missions, like actually find out what's going on in the region and stop the dark forces on it, and find his friend. So that was basically what happened on the room, the first room of the day, and it's where the characters met. So after that, they saw a little passage that they had to go, like basically at floor level, to go into a shrine. Here is what I was saying, that the characters they didn't have much interest. Like, dude, like we're gonna be fighting tons of shit here. Like, let's just keep moving. I want to go out. You said that you came from here, so let's just go out. But of course, like the other players wanted to try it. So yeah, so one of them went here, and they basically saw like it was a shrine basically. But I think they rolled so badly that they didn't know it was a non-dwarven shrine. Like I think the paladin, like it was so badly, and for some reason the character didn't have like a high religion stat, which is something that on my paladin on Sir Leo I had like a big religion stat, so that's why I was expecting that character to actually figure out what was going on. But basically they didn't do it here. There you go. And again, there you go. So this was like, if they had a religion, they could have deduced what was going on. But basically, these dwarves, this ancient dwarven civilization, they started basically doing some things really bad, and their own gods didn't help them, and they started just as an act of desperation, they started trying to pray basically to other deities, and this was what's gonna happen later. So after that, they just moved on, and they went to a huge big hall. So this is a huge hall, you know, and here the characters went basically walking, like they were really scared. They were like they were expecting this to be a trap, okay? And I was thinking, should it be a trap? But I was already expecting the rest of the fights to take a little long, so I didn't want this to be like fight on every room. I wanted sometimes to be like a little more relaxed, just try to learn what's going on and investigate a little bit, and let's fight again, you know. So here what they found, it was a statue of the king, of the dwarven king, like one of the only things that like the current humanity remembers of this ancient civilization. And the interesting thing is that we repeat some of the clues that we give here, which was that there were like minor status of dwarven divinities, like people was asking for help, like really for help. The change I did is that here I also made them show deities that there were dwarf deities. Because I want, so my idea was they need to realize that the shit that went down here was not only impacting the dwarf gods. The dwarf gods, they were not caring about them anymore, so they had to go somewhere else. And since they didn't catch it here, I try to push it a little bit more here. So let's just update the document here. This where it's quite nice that D&D is so flexible and you're just making a story as you go. That even if I had the idea of the actual human or non-dwarven shrine was on that alcove, I could just improvise and just move it there, which is, I think, I like it, and they actually started getting the ideas in there. And by the time they keep moving, like they knew that something was going weird, because like the magical user, like actually they realized their sense of magic was going down, you know, like the flux, the magic here was on this room, after. The trick is because it took them so long to walk the room, because it's huge. It took like I don't know, I think we counted like around 10 minutes to just walk across the room, plus investigating a little bit this area. That's basically like it took so much time, like, and the magic here is not that powerful anymore because it's being consumed. So that's where they were starting to link things. Okay, yeah, like the bad guys, the orcs, are trying to are basically consuming the magic of the mountain, and the mountain, it's suffering from it. And then these undead spectral dwarfs from years ago, they basically are showing up here to protect the mountain, and they're confused, so they're attacking us. That was what's going on. Then moving on, there was a little yes, here there is a connection. Let me put this here. I added a small trap just to spice it up a little bit. It was not really that so there you go. So basically they saw it and they didn't even try to I don't know, dismount it, investigate the walls and the stuff. And that's something that you actually can see, that like we don't have that much experience playing D&D, so I know, because I've watched a lot of it. Like usually what the parties do, they start looking at the walls, investigating, throwing investigations and trying to deactivate these traps with help with the rogue and that kind of class. But they didn't do it, so they just cross and they all did, like there was enough space to try to walk slowly and cross it without any problem. But then grid through, I think, was like at 1 or 2, and it basically arrow in the head, you know. So that was what went there. And for these kind of things, these things that I just improvise at the moment, I just like to use, like, I don't know, 1d4 or something, like 2-4 points of damage. It's not that big of a deal at the end of the day at this level, you know. So then they went, which is what I have to change here, because in my original design, the magic pools were not part of. So you went directly from the cells, which didn't find that passage, and it was not part of what I consider the ruins. But since things changed, now the magic pools became part of the after the big hole. And I need to add another heading if I can, please. There you go. And I've never rolled this. So this room was quite interesting for 2 facts. So Freeze, what was the idea of this room? So these were like some subterranean pools, okay, and they found a brightness underwater in one of the pools. So the idea is there is kind of a lesser god of Gaia, which means it's not the most powerful god itself. You know, it's one of their, whatever you call, disciples, or they're still more powerful than humans, but they are not actually the full god, and that's something that it's something the characters and the players don't really know. But in my cosmology, like to say it's not like it's not super defined, but what I know for sure is that a god it's nothing special. Okay, it's just a being with more power. Period. It's not like there is like everybody here and the human and the gods there. Nope. You can go meet the gods, kill them, fight them. They are just hyper powerful. And that's because it's part of the cosmology. Like you can actually travel through the multiverse, and actually there are parts of the universe where like they are just, for what humans will be gods, they are just, you know, just humans walking around, you know, but they are so powerful. It's kind of what on the MCU when they go to Asgard, and it's like they treat Thor as a god, but then when you're on Asgard, well, they are just Asgardians. They are just more powerful than humans, but that's it. It's nothing special with them, you know. So that's kind of the idea. And of course there is like some of them that are like the boss, you know, and they're like hyper powerful, you know, and they actually take care, and it's their responsibility to manage some parts of the world, but they are not that different, you know. That's my point. They are not some entity that you cannot grasp. So that was the idea. There was basically a light here, and the idea was this light will send them a vision, you know. So the vision was zooming out, and this was completely improvised. I didn't actually know what the vision was going to be. I know that they had to show them things that they didn't understand yet, but things that they could then link the points at the end of the adventure. But also there is a second there is like another fault on the story which they still don't know, but they could like, I don't think they could deduce it with what they learned from this, but they may end up deducing it in later adventures. And that this vision was basically was trying to show them that part, you know, just to leave them with the curiosity and know like, oh, okay, I want to know what's going on, so we need to play more. That was the idea. So the vision was Okay, so that's what the vision was. I think they didn't get any of it, to be honest. But it showed them like, oh wait, what is going on here? You know, like it showed them like the fact that a powerful being, like they got that it was a powerful being. Good. Right. Let me show these because that was something I actually make sure they knew, because they were afraid there was like some kind of monster or some stuff like that. And then after all of this, like one of the characters was like, okay, please stop losing time. And then I give them like complete full health regen and temporary hit points to the character that went into the pool, you know. And nobody else tried to go, but in case they tried, they wouldn't have gotten this. This was just, it was given by this deity. It was not given by the pool. Then this was kind of interesting because after they started moving here, they were like, I didn't plan to give them a fight here unless they wanted to do a short rest, because they are so afraid of the low numbers of life they have. And thing with D&D is that you can throw a lot of like what they seem like powerful enemies, but you can just dismantle so quickly. So they still don't know exactly this, and neither do I, to be honest. So they're trying to do a lot of short rest, and I'm trying to interrupt them and scare them, you know, and keep them moving. But here they didn't want to, but they were they didn't need a short rest here. But they were basically so afraid of that this was an ambush or something that I just made it an ambush. So I just used these merfolk monsters, and the question is, how many did I throw them? Yes, I threw 9. 9 merfolk. Yes, exactly. So what I did here is, and I think that, so the merfolk, because I think I modified this on the fly, because so what I calculated was that 11 of these guys were an easy fight for a free party of level 5, but we were at that point a party of 4. So I put if a party of 4. So what I did then, yeah, and like I link it here. I can remove this. I link it here, the combat underwater, I think, just in case they wanted to fight underwater. Yes. There you go. Just in case someday I need it again. So the merfolk have an armor class of 11 and an average hit points of also 11. So if I'm not mistaken, yes, I modified these guys, but with an AC of 13, which is actually like 2 points higher. That's not a small thing. And I gave them an HP of how much I gave them? Yeah, 20. Yeah, so I'm glad I keep these notes. So as I was saying in the beginning, I don't know how good is this what I'm doing. Like I definitely want to try to keep, when I know more what difficulty level means, how that's represented, when I'm more familiar with that, I think I actually want to stick with the monster, you know. But right now, when I like to adapt them to what's going on, what I definitely do is I adapt them like the freeze, like at the freeze round, basically on the fly, and I like that's why I put the note here. See, I give the note here the AC and the HP, you know. So then I don't have like, oh yeah, no, you like thought the AC was 13 and it's actually 15. Like, no, that doesn't make any sense unless the monster actually is like the boss or something like that. So that was the fight they had here. Then we move on to one of the most crazy fights I've DM'd, which is something that I don't recommend at all. Because this was crazy, and here is where we lost a lot of time. Okay. So here, the combat, the crazy thing about this combat is what a combat at 3 size. And depending how you say it is even 4, but yeah, it's just simplified. So freeze, there were 2 of these beasts that I don't remember from where I got them. It's like an armored, yeah, it's called armored skeleton. But so did I use, no, see? Yeah, I think I used this monster as it was. Yes, I just put 2. Yes, so I put 2 of these ones. Let me just write down, and then 2 dwarf skeletons, which is basically just the skeleton from that I took from D&D Beyond, which is, I think this is like the, yeah, this is the normal skeleton that you can find in the basic rules. Yeah, okay. And I said 2 of these alone are easy, and I think I put 7 of them. And then what else I put there? I put 4 orcs. So this was one side, okay? The other side was skeleton side was 2 of these and 2 of these, and the orcs side was 4 orcs, and I think I have the orc somewhere in the beginning because I used it a lot here. Exactly. So I had 4 orcs, and then what I had, yeah, to what I called on my notes engineers, but they are basically wizard apprentice. Okay, so they are basically like, from all the prisoners and humans they found, they were, some of them, they were actually different ropes, and you could actually see they were like, had different jobs. And in this case it's just a wizard apprentice. Like, I basically just use from all the things they could do, I use the firebolt and the burning hands, basically. That was pretty much it. But the interesting cool about this scenario was the way I designed it, which is not like this, so I probably should just redraw it if I remember how. But because there was a lot of hidden, basically the site was blocked in many places, so they could not see. So what they saw when they entered the room was like the orcs. So let me write this, because maybe the map doesn't matter, like you can just change the map on the flight, but when the heroes enters, yes, so the thing with this one was this, that it was kind of crazy because I had to keep track and control what were the skeletons fighting against the orcs, how the humans were reacting to it. Actually, how they were reacting to it, and then when they want to attack the heroes and what the heroes were doing. And in some of the fights I was just improvising it and just noting, yeah, this orc was hit once, this orc was hit twice. We have keeping track of the exact amount, but as soon as the players were starting like fighting, then I had to start being more careful about the amount of health each one had. So it was a really brain draining combat for me. It was like, boom, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. It was crazy. There are so many, like we had like, imagine how many like pieces on the board there was. And it was, yeah, it was tiresome, definitely. So be careful with a 3-sided combat, you know, and don't do it if you're a noob like me. But it was fun. So what's next? After this, yes. Oh, one of the cool things was one of the orcs survived because basically it was a coward and it hid himself and it basically survived the combat. So he was trying to escape, but the heroes didn't want to let him escape, because if he escaped, we'll probably have told the others that these heroes were here, which is something interesting. So but luckily it didn't happen. This is I think it's a Reddit post where people says what kind of monsters can you find in a Dwarven ruin, which it was super useful for me to start planning all these encounters. So the next thing is we're out of the Dwarven ruins. We're again at the next level where the big fight is gonna happen. So this is the artifact room. Like it's basically it was the throne room, but now it's been like all dismantled. Everything has been pushed on the sides, and it's where these kind of artifacts are gathering the energy of the mountain. So let me review what I had here. So yeah, there are pillars. There was not a pillar, okay? It was this was okay. Thinking at the end of the day how the So this was basically what was going on in this room. So there was like these 4 pillars with the crystals floating, gathering the energy from the surroundings and sending basically rays of energy into the center of the room where they get concentrated and they were throwing up. Cool. So then, totally improvised, what I did was, this is the final combat, so it should be on this page exactly. So, because what I drew, basically, this on the map, and the first thing that players were talking about is like, what will happen if we touch one of these, like, kind of electricity energy, you know? So, I just improvise. I just improvise this. So, there is... So what happened with this? I don't like it. So what happens basically? The human So this was the first thing they could do, which it was like kind of like what? So basically, at one part of the combat, I described how this basically this wizard, this magic apprentice, what for me they were like the engineers that were helping create all this situation. Basically, they put the hands inside like this flow of energy. They were like, I think they were like, like one of them was here, so they put the hands inside the flow of energy, and they cast inside. And the spell, instead of being thrown from here and attacking to the players, it actually from this crystal to the players that were here at the entrance, and they were like, what? So that was pretty cool. But then the other thing that this can do was basically roll a d4, basically on a d4, and it was, if it's 1, you take damage of 1d6, so not bad. If it was 2, you actually got temporary HP, 1d4 of temporary HP, which is not, it's not good. I mean, it's not a lot, but it's better than nothing. Then, if it was 3, you did a knockback of what it was like 2 squares, right? Yes. And for me, squares are not like the real. It's like the square, like basically 5 feet, like the square on the grid. Because I hate these American feats, like feats. And then, if it was 4, you got paralyzed and lost the turn. So that was the idea. Okay, I think actually this one happened and none of the others happened because they were actually trying to avoid it. So that was it. Okay, so that was one part of what was going on in the room. The other thing that was going on in the room was the enemies. So we had enemies. So we had 4 what I'm gonna call flux golems, which are basically these stone golems plus these crystal golems, but they were modified with a DC of 15 and an HP of 100 to 10. So these golems appear from each crystal after Razor invokes them. Invoke is not written like that, and summons them. There you go. They are connected to its original crystal. When they are attacked, the crystal, the flow of energy from their crystal stops for a second. Okay, so that's one thing that was happening. What else was happening? So they have these 3 link states, which is if crystal is okay, they have 100 HP, and they have the crystal golems have this light intensity basically that they emit from themselves, which was a pain in the ass for the heroes, because basically it makes, if you start your turn around like at 10 feet of them, I think I said 10 feet, not 30. Yeah, turn with 10 feet of that. If you're at 10 feet, like, you're basically blinded unless you have like a DC of 17 wisdom, which was insane. It was insane. So that's it. But then if the heroes start trying to destroy the crystals, which is the key of the encounter. It's the key of the encounter. If the heroes try to destroy the crystals, oh fuck's sake, sometimes it does this. I don't know why. Because I wasn't actually in the other one. Okay, perfect. Me. So if a crystal look at the okay, let me write this here and then put the 4 crystals enemies, basically 4 crystals in the pedestals. I mean, they're basically objects, so I don't think that they are actually like moving enemies. When the linked golem and this was basically to tell the players, look, when you attack this golem, this crystal from where it came, like, it reacts, you know, there is some linking, there is some communication. It's like, oh yeah, okay, so that's the idea of this. Then if the crystal is resolved, The golem has 100 HP and the light intensity spell or ability or skill. If a crystal has less than total HP, then what happens is the energy is not contained anymore and starts leaking, and that means the golem loses the light intensity. So basically the golem doesn't have the light anymore, it still has the HP. Then if crystal is destroyed, golem has 10 HP. It drops to 10 HP directly. It's still alive. The golem doesn't get destroyed itself directly because it still has some energy inside it, enough to resist for 10 HP basically. Did the crystal do something else? Okay, yeah, well, the crystal needs to be destroyed to stop, like I said. Crystals needs to be destroyed to stop canalizing energy to the artifact and being able to manipulate it. Okay, so what else? Then apart from the golem is not the beginning of the encounter. The beginning of the encounter initial enemies, let's say. Initial enemies. So the initial enemies were 6 orcs with 4 again. Where did I write this? I can just copy this. So there were 6 orcs and then 4 humans. Okay. And then when a couple of them are defeated, the wizard from his room summons the golems, which is something I really like when there is a room and there is some enemies in there and the players start fighting and they think they have a grasp of what's going on, and then they kill one, they kill another in the middle of a change of turn, bam, something happens, more enemies appear. I think that keeps the combat going on, it keeps them active, it keeps them aware of the surroundings, you know. They don't relax and say, okay, we're gonna totally kill this, you know. So what happened is basically the orcs and humans start fighting with them, and as soon as I think I did it quite quickly when one or two orcs were dead, because they were trying to not attack the humans just in case they were good and they were prisoners, which they were actually prisoners, but the trick here is that these prisoners are actually on board with what's going on, so they actually want to help. Okay, so these are the initial enemies. Then when a couple of them are defeated, the wizard from his room summons the golem, and then what happens is when more are defeated and golems attacked, Tyric Razor shows up from behind the throne. Beep beep beep. Dee 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 dee. There you go. So the golems that I used, I already put them here, yes, because I don't know which one to use, to be honest. I even started making a copy of my custom golem, which I think I still should do. because I like the combination of this, how it turned out. So I think I'm gonna probably try to make a custom enemy. And I didn't use this at the end, and I didn't use this, so we can clean this up. Okay. I think that was the entirety of the combat. So there were 6 orcs, the 4 humans, the 4 golems, yes, the 4 golems, and then there was the warlock Tyric Razor. Ah, and the crystals, true, the crystals. What are the crystals? I basically used the... what the... What is it? Basically what the DM screen says. I did it on the fly because like I was planning this and I was like, oh yeah, they have to destroy the crystals totally to destroy the golems, and I didn't even know. Okay, so how does attacking an object works? And for example, they didn't even know that you could attack an object in the end. They're like, oh, but they are objects, they are not enemies. Like everything has HP here. What is it? It's not here. It's not this. Yes. So an AC, it actually basically, I didn't know what to use, but it said it has crystal, glass, and ice have a 13 AC. Okay. So the thing is, it's not crystal, glass, or ice. These things, they are like some kind of minerals. So it should be more close to mithril and steel. But with the way the fight was going on, I decided it was a hit of DC, and they had 10 HP. Probably if I run this a while with more preparation and more time, I would have probably made them closer to, I don't know, if it says mithril it's like 21, I think that's a lot. But yeah, something around 15 or something like that. So the DC was 13. Should be 15. And the HP it's fine. Like if you can hit them, that doesn't matter. Like if you can actually hit them enough to break them, they cannot resist that much. No. 10. That was fine. And 10 was just enough for bad rolls to actually leave them at 1 or 2 hit points, which was actually quite interesting. That was pretty cool. Because then you can describe this state, which I just made up on the fly, you know, which was kind of interesting. So that was the combat, yeah. Like the thing with this combat is that they were going for the golems. They were like they were attacking one, and they actually hit them like, I don't know how much points they hit them with. Yeah, they got a golem down from 100 to 40 points. But still, it took them everything they had, and they suffered a lot from it. They were like, one of them was almost down. Hopefully, they realize like what they were thinking was that they were not actually damaging them, but they were. But that thinking of, oh, I don't think we're damaging, I think we need to destroy the crystals, prompt them to think we have to destroy the crystals. If they were thought that they were actually damaging them, I'm not sure they will actually ever thought of destroying the crystals. Even if the fact that the setup of this was, you need to destroy the crystals for the golems, you need to destroy the crystals to stop the process of creating what they are creating. So you have to do it for both reasons. If you do it the sooner the better for everyone. So that was it. Basically here they, like, when they knew they destroyed the crystals were destroyed, they could quickly get rid of the golems, and there were no more orcs, there were no more humans, so it was just Tyrek Razor trying to break them. But then the problem with Tyrek Razor is that alone himself could not take the whole party, you know? So he basically retired to the room trying to gather everything he could and escape before the heroes went there, which they actually did. So they actually went upstairs quickly and they stopped him. Fucking my crazy friend, he just gets into the room, so like the room was like this, like imagine like it's a circular room with the artifact in the middle, and they see this bad guy here. They, before they enter the room, they literally, like, my friend just throws a fireball and and I ask, what's the radius of this? It's like 20 feet. Well, that's the size of the room. So you're gonna literally make the room go in flames entirely. I was like, oh yeah, it's fine. Like, okay. So it was quite fun. At the end of the day, they took him and he was able to tell them. Basically, he told them that they were gathering the energy from the mountain to concentrate it, and with this artifact they were creating a bomb. A bomb. For what? A bomb to destroy us. Okay, so it's like, and they keep saying that they are doing good, that they are saving the world, and that we don't know what you're doing, that they keep thinking that they are doing good, which in some sense of the world they are doing, but that's something to discover on the next adventure. So let me just circle around the artifact room with the artifact above the. It's actually a throne room, to be honest, because the artifact room, I mean, it's the artifact room, but the artifact is on the dorm, so above the artifact room, floor glass, something built of magic, energy from the crystals downstairs goes up to the artifact. And I think that's it. It can escape, but it didn't. And then the artifact is something like this. This is what goes in the magic pools now on the furnace room. Which is this? That's something else they didn't use at all. I think they didn't actually remember. Is on this furnace room on the second session, like some of these basically old dwarves, they give them kind of a smaller version of the artifact, kind of like something smaller like this that you can hold. So they didn't use that, which is good because they didn't ask for it. So, and I don't know exactly what. So I know that it's used to store energy and to basically gather energy, like this magic flux from the environment, but I didn't know the mechanics, like in combat if they could use it and stuff like that. And this treasure, they didn't use it at all. So what I'm gonna do is cut this from here and paste it somewhere else. More treasure, and I'm just gonna paste it there and change this to another folder. There you go. And yes, that was also another treasure. I just went online and started thinking about which treasures will be useful for the party. One thing I wanted was for the barbarian to have something as a bonus action to basically, one, so that he could use more bonus actions, but he can do bonus actions, but sometimes he doesn't because he wants to save them, you know. So it's like I was just giving actually more something to have something to decide, basically. And this is the aftermatch, which we'll see what happens. This is still question mark. I was just thinking, okay, in case we finish all of this in 1 hour, what is gonna happen? And it took us like 7 hours to finish this. 7 hours, mate. It was insane. Okay, so that was it. So now let me see if I can give XP. So XP from session 3. Okay. So now what I can do is open this here, and I can actually have this same document open twice to keep track of the enemies. So where do we start? Here. So the freeze room, the disturb. So 2 Dwergar. The 2 Dwergar. Okay, so it's 2 Dwergar. It's 400 XP. Okay. Then 3 Dwergar hammer. It's what is it? 450. XP. Perfect. Then on the alcove, nothing, because they actually did nothing in there. Then on the big hole, they investigated a little bit and they asked some questions, but I don't think it was nothing to give experience for. I like to give experience for not only fights but something else, but I don't think that was worth it. The trap, I'm just gonna give again for trap 10 XP. Then the magic pulse. On the magic pulse they fought 9 merfolk. On the merfolk it's 25 XP. So it's okay, 200. Knight merfolk, so it's 200 XP. That looks like, yeah, that's the thing, there were so many but they were just easy to fight. Yeah, makes sense. I just thought they were gonna get more from that. Now on the creeps, let me give them, I don't know, like 20 XP for going on the pool. But this was the character of Alaric. Because it was only Alaric that went down. The others didn't want to go. Then the creeps. On the creeps we have 2 of these big boys. Oh, can I open this now? What happened? Okay, I don't know, let me close this. Oh, something is weird with this computer, it didn't work. Okay. Well, then we're gonna just keep it. We're just not gonna leave it here. I'm gonna finish to calculate this XP and then I'm just gonna send them a message to tell them this is the XP you got, guys. And that will be it. So I think there was a good recap. I'm glad I have the notes and I have them in digital form, and I converted basically all these crap notes that I take when I'm DMing, and I keep them around. So something that I've learned from this is that I need to put the name of the encounter or the room where the encounter happens, not just start writing numbers and that's it. Or upgrade to a digital encounter solution, you know, which there are some, but I think on paper it's much faster. I don't know. Okay. Well, so that was it for this streaming. I don't know if anybody enjoyed this, but I did. So I'm just gonna probably keep sometimes doing some of these D&D streamings apart from the programming streamings, because I like D&D and I like to show my systems and the way I do it. And I'm a noob, and I guess I want to learn like everybody else. Okay. So that's it for today. Thank you. Have a good Sunday and see you next time.